The nurse managed to dig this up, and I was able to extract it from Matthias's grubby little hands. We're now even, Hades. 3 for 3. I will leave this city and never return.
Welcome, and congratulations on being chosen for the Newburgh Group Special Information Division. In this introductory video you will be given strictly confidential information regarding the entities known as blank bodies, their culture, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how we at the Coalition organize ourselves to oppose this threat to mankind. Officially, we do not exist. You will not be thanked for your duty. You will die in the dark, so those unaware of this threat may continue on in the light. Let us begin. Please turn to page 5 of your introductory guide, sublabel Introduction to Blank Bodies. Blank bodies are humanoid entities afflicted by a condition causing an insatiable thirst for blood, fatal UV sensitivity, and supernatural capabilities. They may also be referred to with the following alternate nomenclature: vampires, kindred, licks, canite, leeches, Ashira, Laban, or Kinjin. These entities are a global epidemic, and their affliction is transmissible through exsanguination of a chosen victim followed by forced blood transfusion of the blank body's own blood. Analysis has determined that a blank body has an blood alternative which we are referring to as VTM. It is the duty of the Coalition to prevent the continued spread of this disease. Blank bodies possess a multitude of supernatural abilities and shared weaknesses, however they also can be split into multiple genotypes which they refer to as clans. We will first begin by analyzing the generalized symptoms of this contamination. The first and most obvious symptom is an extreme case of hematolagnia. They will seek out blood in a variety of ways and can feed using elongated canines. This blood is converted into an amalgamous substance called VTM, which replaces almost all bodily fluids as well as being used as a fuel for their other abilities. This VTM is the only thing allowing the blank body to survive, as their internal organs wither away and they are left in a stasis of, when they died, becoming pale and temporarily locked in their current biological state. This also causes many older infected individuals to exhibit a difficulty in learning new technological, cultural, and societal norms. All blank bodies are incredibly durable as bullets, blades, and blunt force all have very little effect. They are, however, extremely vulnerable to the effects of sunlight and fire. Incendiary rounds will come standard issue for all members of the Coalition combat branches. In addition, it appears that many have a strange aversion to the symbols and sites of Abrahamic religions and other mythological weaknesses such as stakes to the heart. Please refer to Chapter 22, Mythological Basics, before making any assumptions based on tales. Blank bodies do not need to breathe or eat and are heavily resistant to temperature. They do, however, still need to sleep, in a state they call torpor, in which they are highly vulnerable. The most concerning effect of this affliction is their apparent non-senescence, which allows them to achieve a level of biological immortality. The oldest recorded blank body was over 3,200 years of age, having been infected in the 1200s set. He was confirmed to be deceased as of 1996 at the hands of one of his own kind. We will now discuss the individual genotypes and their known differences and patterns. Blank bodies refer to these genotypes as clans. This terminology originates from the mythological belief that each genotype originates from an ancient progenitor from where the different unique abilities split. They refer to this as the third generation. While it is true that the potency of the blank body's blood seemed to decrease with each further transmission of the condition, we have not found any evidence to suggest that a mythical third generation exists, nor have we found sufficient evidence to verify the rumors of the second generation or the patient zero of this disease. Please see Index for the Bloody Man, First Vampire, and Cain for further details. From what can be identified, there are 13 primary strains of the disease, alongside 2 aberrations and 2 lesser strains close to eradication. Each strain has access to 3 disciplines which come naturally to them. These disciplines are supernatural abilities which can allow them to gain supernatural strength, distort human minds, shape shadows around them, and many more esoteric abilities. Thankfully, each strain also appears to have its own major affliction known as a clan curse. The Banu Hakim, affiliated with the Camarilla, are a genotype most commonly associated with assassins and blood cannibals who have operated in the Middle East for millennia. Their affliction gives them a sociopathic belief that they are judge, jury, and executioner upholding a law of their own choosing. They typically infect other self-righteous individuals in the hopes their infection will drive them to commit more acts. Their genotype specializes in blood sorcery, used most commonly in the disposal of bodies or tracking of targets, obfuscate, the ability to go unseen and unheard, and celerity, supernatural speed to overwhelm victims in blitz attacks. The Banu Hakim are especially traitorous, as their primary affliction drives them to feed on the blood of their own kind, being unable to stop once they have started, and even driving them to a strange ritual which seems to empower them known as diablerie. Be extremely cautious when the Bruja, affiliated with the Anarch movement, are a genotype of rebellious and extremely violent individualists who are more likely to attack with lethal force than their more social counterparts. They are well known within blank body culture for being extremely quick to anger and unstable. Their genotype specializes in celerity, supernatural speed used to overwhelm victims, potence, supernatural strength used to break victims, and presence, used to intimidate victims into submission. The Bruja's very nature is one of violence and rage, as they are physically incapable of suppressing that emotion. They are to be treated in the same way one might treat a rabid dog. Do not approach in a direct confrontation without a vast amount of firepower. The coalition recommends a long-ranged strike with incendiary rounds to incapacitate a Bruja. Alternatively, it is recommended to force them out of hiding until the sun rises. Distantly affiliated with the Anarch movement are a genotype of animalistic isolationists whose monstrous features are more pronounced the longer they hold back from their nature. They tend to prefer the infection of survivalists and the battle-hardened. This animalistic nature extends to their abilities, as they specialize in animalism, a form of interspecies communication and manipulation, fortitude, enhanced endurance used for surviving under extremely harsh conditions, and protean, shape-shifting the blank body to achieve further strengths or skills. Sometimes their protean ability is involuntarily activated by intense mental states, causing the gangrel to gain a number of anthropomorphic features. They are less commonly encountered in cities but are most often found in either rural areas or near green zones. Take great care within these areas and avoid becoming targets. All animals within the area should be treated as hostile. It is highly recommended to eradicate all potentially disadvantageous fauna within a known gangrel zone before eradication is attempted. Cornering a gangrel is the ideal option, but take care, as they are notoriously difficult to take down and will often fight every second. Blitz attacks are recommended to avoid a drawn-out fight. The independent genotype are a mixture of many various bloodlines that have since merged into a single conglomerated clan. These incestuous bloodlines have equalized their abilities into a genotype with a strong necrophilic obsession with death and a real-world example of necromancy. The specific details and limitations of their power is not yet known. They specialize in aspects, foresight that borders on perfect prediction, fortitude, enhanced endurance, and oblivion, the ability which allows them to manipulate the deceased. These disturbing traits are worsened more by their extremely painful feeding methods, with a full body agony will engulf a victim, as their blood is drained from them, and as such few Hecata are able to disguise their feeding in subtle ways, leading them to be more violent and cruel in their methods. Avoidance of direct conflict is recommended due to the unknown element of oblivion. Traps are also highly ineffective against them due to the unpredictability of aspects. The coalition is currently looking into the best extermination method for the Hecata. Current suggestions include long-range explosive strikes, overwhelming force, and alliance manipulation. Umbra, primarily associated with the Sabbat and more recently the Camarilla, are a bloodline defined primarily by ruthlessness and excellence in all they do. Their affliction is spread to those who can lose everything and come out on top, often literally, as this can be an initiation ritual of sorts. Many Lasombra are sociopathic by nature even before their infection, and this historically led them to the more extremist Sabbat faction, though in more modern times they have often turned coat to the Camarilla, as the Sabbat influence decreases. The Lasombra excel in dominate, mind control, which forces victims to submit to the will of the blank body, oblivion, used to manipulate shadows into physical attacks or disguises, and potence, supernatural strength. However, Lasombra are easily identified by their unique trait of being heavily distorted in any reflection or recording, live or not, which distinguishes them in the technologically driven modern day. Many Lasombra are also unable to access a large number of technological devices such as cell phones, microphones, electronic security systems, etc. They are not to be underestimated. However, the Lasombra tend to be members of extreme influence within their communities and beyond, often having access to a wealth of resources and allies. In addition, they are fierce survivalists, and direct combat has severe risks. Do not approach without a backup team, monitor all members of a squad for mental alteration, and ensure the blank body is cut off from any potential support network before engaging. Avians, associated with the Camarilla, are exceptionally unique amongst blank bodies, as all members of this bloodline are affected by a mental derangement of some variety. In simpler terms, they are all insane. The specifics of their mental affliction vary wildly, and some can seem more stable than others. They are prone to visions and hallucinations which supposedly can give them insight into the future. This is often only useful to the Malkavian themselves, though, as it is hard for outsiders to distinguish fact from fiction. They specialize in optics, future sight, dominate, allowing them to spread their mental affliction to others, and obfuscate, ability to be unseen and unheard. A Malkavian blank body can typically be either the easiest or the most difficult targets to neutralize or capture, as their extreme unpredictability and ability to foresee potential dangers makes them near impossible to plan for. However, that same unpredictability can be used against them, if the proper precautions are taken. Please see Chapter 57, Malkavian Psychology, for further information. Of Set, associated with the Anarch movement, exist as tempters and temptresses who once worshipped the Egyptian god Set. They are naturally drawn to subterfuge and enticing others to commit transgressions, their whole identity based around the trickster nature ingrained in them. As such, their genotype has a long history of being involved in nearly every conflict on nearly every side, having few allies by the end of it. They specialize in protean, to draw on animalistic talents, obfuscate, to spy on others for blackmail and potent information, and presence to allure their victims and sway people to their desires. Their sensitivity to light is much greater than that of the rest of their kind and applies to that of any direct natural or artificial light, causing them weakness. Extensive testing by Dr. Argus reveals that they also burn much quicker than others of their kind in direct sunlight. The threat of the ministry lies more in their effect on the general populace as well as their ability to gather information for their allies. Bright UV searchlights alongside a coordinated assault will put down most ministry blank bodies. Ferritu, associated with the Camarilla, are the informational heart of the sex with which they align, as they are often technologically adept and capable of great feats of subterfuge. Their online network, Skreknet, took years to hack into and was filled with an incredibly extensive database which allowed the coalition to recognize the threat of these creatures. The price of their usefulness is their excessive repulsiveness, as they are horribly disfigured by the process of infection. This distinctive feature can be used to quickly identify carriers of this genotype. Please note that secondary identification methods should be used to avoid misidentification of standard human genetic conditions. See Incident Log Idaho 55621B. They specialize in animalism, often using sewer rats as scouts, obfuscate, hiding themselves from humans and gathering information, and potence to overpower victims. Nosferatu are often incredibly difficult to discover, as their appearance forces them to naturally discover hiding spots such as sewers, abandoned complexes, or highly secured havens. It is recommended to use the Nosferatu affinity for technology against them, as they can often be identified by online detection agents and location for a surprise attack. Do not allow them time to hide, or you are unlikely to see them a second time. An independent genotype, are a dying breed of runaways. Their primary target for infection is those who are nomadic, flighty, and charming, as their very nature forces them to be forever moving, or else they will suffer a burning similar to that they experience when faced with the Sunday. In recent history, an unusually powerful revenus caused an event known as the Week of Nightmares, in which many brave coalition members lost their lives. In the end, however, we were able to triumph and defeat the monster. However, at the same time the ravenous monster appeared, all currently infected members of the bloodline flew into a frenzy, which resulted in a large majority of the bloodline being eradicated. The few remaining survivors are incredibly hard to pin down and are usually skilled in deception and losing trackers. Their natural talents are enhanced by their specialization in animalism, as spies and companions, obfuscate, combined in amalgamation with presence to cause vivid and powerful illusions, and presence to push their natural charm past its limits. Due to a lack of information and demand, the coalition has little information on the strengths and weaknesses of this infection. They are often misidentified as caitiff and typically flee before they are closed in on. They are likely to naturally die out given enough time and natural preventative measures. Associated with the Camarilla, are a highly sexual and aesthetically obsessed genotype who tend to accrue a large number of lovers, followers, or other crowds. Some even manage to achieve a level of fame within human circles. Make no mistake, for however charming they may be on the surface, they are predators who will use and abuse humans for their own degenerate desires. They specialize in aspects, to see details and aspects of the world in their search for artistic pleasure, celerity, to flee or end a fight before it begins, presence, to master social interactions and manipulate those around them. Toreador blank bodies are typically opposed to the core with what they individually perceive as beauty, suffering greatly when in environments they deem to be ugly. They are not fighters, but their ability to charm and manipulate is highly dangerous to the general populace and to undisciplined agents. It is recommended to limit contact with them, as they may manipulate agents into feeling pity or sympathy for them. Ignore their screams. They are not human. They do not feel. They do not. It is recommended to limit contact with them, as they may manipulate agents. They are not combative and are usually able to be exterminated by a small group of armed agents with the element of surprise. Fear, nominally associated with the Camarilla, are a highly organized and self-connected bloodline who chose to willingly force the disease upon them by taking a powerful celebrity and performing a ritual. They are powerful and collectivized within their bloodline more than the rest of their kind, but are often heavily distrusted for not being an original clan by other blank bodies. They specialize in a unique ability called blood sorcery, which allows them to, through the power of their VTM, effectively use magic. This is as powerful as it is hard to predict and is their greatest asset and danger, though it needs to be prepared beforehand. They also have access to aspects, for detecting items and communicating from long distances, as well as dominate, for forcibly gaining further knowledge. Thanks to the efforts of the coalition forces, their headquarters in Vienna was discovered and destroyed, causing them to lose much of their power and gain a unique flaw within their blood. They are no longer able to use their blood to bind others to them, while they themselves can still be bound by others of their kind. This does not apply to humans victims. It is recommended to avoid prolonged conflict with a Tremere and to instead strike before they have time to prepare. Be ready to deal with unknown threats, precautionary traps, and quick reinforcements due to their collectivist nature. Associated with the Camarilla and otherwise independent, are a disturbing disease which is believed to be a further warped variant of the blank body affliction. They are highly possessive with an aim to own all that which they can possibly gain. Their need to conquer and gain further power makes them immensely dangerous, and their disturbed recruitment strategies often result in the vast majority of Simis being ruthless in one way or another. They primarily specialize in a discipline unique to their bloodline called vicissitude, which allows them to shape the flesh and bone of themselves and others in both a hostile manner or beneficial one. They frequently use this ability to create monstrosities for protection and destruction, often shaping themselves into extremely dangerous forms as well. They also possess the ability of dominate, to enforce their possession onto others, and animalism, to connect with their domain to an inhuman extent. The only saving grace is that, once its Simis is settled into a location, they almost never leave it due to a mental affliction requiring them to stay within their habitat. Unfortunately, this typically means they have their domains heavily fortified and observed. The Coalition's current guidelines for encountering any Simis of Generation 9 or lower is to avoid contact at all costs. The de jure leaders of the Camarilla are all effective leaders, forces of personality, or figureheads in one way or another. It is an unfortunate truth that several prominent but less social CEOs, politicians, and high-ranking officials are members of this subsection of blank bodies, which often makes them highly difficult to dislodge without either alerting the general public to the blank body epidemic or dealing with governmental bodies unaware of the truth. Several older individuals of this genotype were once historical figures with centuries of experience or more in political or strategic tactics and should not be underestimated under any circumstance. The Ventru specialize in dominate, to enforce their will over masses of humans or blank bodies alike, fortitude, to massively enhance their endurance, and presence, to more subliminally influence those around them. True to their nomenclature of blue bloods, these blank bodies require an incredibly specific victim in order to properly feed and can suffer from extreme hunger if their preferred taste isn't acquired easily. Globally, the Ventra are considered to be the primary bloodline threat to the Coalition, as their influence and experience is often the main opposition to our goals of a more free world. They are to be identified and cataloged by accessibility for extermination, while those who are more influential are to be forwarded to your superior officers for further analysis. Celebri, nearly brought to extinction by the Tremere. They appear to be reluctant to pass their disease onwards, and many attempt to live peacefully with humans. Exception appeals are available, if encountered in peaceful circumstances, though they are to be monitored for any illegal activity. Cappadocian, a near-extinct bloodline now sublimated into the Hecata. Of little importance. Few members still reside in the United Kingdom. Caitiff, a rare abnormality resulting in no specific blood connection. They are capable of learning all disciplines with additional efforts but seem to be heavily outcast by their peers. Thin blood, a genotype resulting from a lack of potency of blood during infection. These individuals appear to still possess many human features, while also gaining many of the features of the afflicted. Further research required to determine if they are to be eliminated or examined. Easily dispatched. We will now move on to the Coalition United Kingdom informational framework.
There's a place at the table for every animal to eat in undisturbed comfort.
Resided from the greater Glasgow area. Please be advised that as of yet you've been identified threat has resulted in the death of a large number of citizens. Please stay in your homes. Do not go outside. Secure your domiciles. Arm yourself however possible. Do not listen to the voices outside. Do not listen to the screams. Do not listen to the Dark Father. The antidote have risen. Gehenna is upon us. All citizens are advised to pray and make peace with their God. This message shall now repeat. All residents of the greater Glasgow area, please be advised that an as of yet unidentified threat has resulted in the death of a large number of citizens. Please stay in your homes. Do not go outside. Secure your domiciles. Arm yourself however possible. Do not listen to the voices outside. Do not listen to the screams. Do not listen to the dark color. The antediluvians have risen. Gehenna is upon us. All citizens are advised to pray and make peace with their God. This message shall now repeat. All residents of the greater Glasgow area, please be advised that an as of yet unidentified threat has resulted in the death of a large number of citizens. Please stay in your homes. Do not go outside. Secure your domiciles. Arm yourself however possible. Do not listen to the voices outside. Do not listen to the screams. Do not listen to the dark color.
The following segments will focus on notable blank bodies within Glasgow and its Anarch movement, as well as recent activity within the city conducted by the Sabbath. The current framework of the Anarch community within Glasgow is split between two barons. Baron Heads controls large sections of central Glasgow and has several assistants controlling differing tasks within his areas. Recent evidence has suggested that most of these assistants have been eliminated. Baron Zoo is the rival Baron and seems to be working alongside the Sabbath, while also being the leader of the Tremere within the city. He is currently missing and it is believed that there will be a blood hunt called on him soon. Carter Wilson is a member of certain acting circles and is a more distantly connected figure to the primary group which surrounds the current goings-on within Glasgow. He is a known ventrue and is currently being further investigated for possible links to a previously identified blank body called Mrs. Rivers. Charlie Burke is a Tremere infected by another individual of note within Glasgow called Gehenshu, IDG, LATR1488. They are currently employed as, to quote, purveyor of the weird and wonderful. They appear to have recently began hostilities with their sire and a psychological profile suggests possible trauma from interactions with blank body 1.4.8.8. They appear to have formerly been romantically involved with Veronica Comish, IDG, LAM, 1866, and are attempting to reverse their very recent infection. Clara Sheffield is a celebrity and an American immigrant and former nun, infected sometime in the year 2015 by her husband Gabriel Sheffield, exterminated by American coalition forces. She is blind and considered to be an inactive target, as she has disappeared as of the latest reports. She is presumed dead. Elijah Shaw is at Simis disguising himself as a gangrel, being on record for several minor criminal charges prior to infection, and is considered to be a highly dangerous blank body. He seems to be incorporated into multiple of the social structures of Glasgow and has begun using his flashcrafting abilities to exponentially increase his threat. Research is currently being conducted into his family history, as records show that his older brother is currently incarcerated for an incident which resulted in his father's paralysis. He is due for release in the coming months. Elijah seems to have previously been working for the Sabbats but recently appears to be involved in the disappearance of Francis Hornbrook, IDEDIL, a 9561. It is believed he is involved in a number of murder cases running back as far as 2017. A psychological profile has determined a high likelihood of extreme antisocial personality disorder and signs of an intense fear of abandonment. Felix is a as of yet unidentified individual believed to be associated with both Francis Hornbrook, IDEDIL, a 9561, and Elijah Shaw, IDGLATZ1149. It is very likely he has access to the discipline of obfuscate and is likely Malkavian, but no solid evidence can be produced. He is believed to possibly be dead after an encounter with blank body JUAS019. Francis Hornbrook is a La Sombra leader of the Sabbat within the city of Glasgow, going by the title of Bishop. He was previously identified within Edinburgh but seems to have moved his base of operations since. We believed he is in some way connected to Devonshire. Coalition forces were narrowing down on his location after a violent string of murders within the city under the direction of Agent Sigmund Argus, but it is now believed he had a violent encounter with other blank bodies. The blank body going by the moniker of Hades is a gangrel and one of the two leaders of the Anarch movement within Glasgow and is considered to be highly dangerous. It is believed he runs his operations out of one of the theaters within the city, however the exact location has yet to be determined. Local forces have been able to identify him as having once been called Simon Ripley. Further investigation is required. The majority of his support structure and assistants are suspected to have been exterminated as of this current time. Mr. Crane is an as of yet unidentified member of the Camarilla within Glasgow. Intel suggests that he is a physician. Veronica Comish is a Malkavian and unlicensed private investigator who seems to have been infected sometime in 2023. She is currently under the mentorship of an unidentified individual going by CL. It is known that she was previously in a romantic relationship with Charlie Burke, IDGLTR1473, and still seems to hold some connection to them even in her mentally deranged state. Devonshire is the Tremere leader within Glasgow as well as the rival Baron within the region. Little clear information is known about him, but it is suspected that he was a part of a plot involving Francis Hornbrook, IDEDIL, a 9561, which was discovered by other members of his sect. It is currently suspected that a blood hunt will be called against him. Vix, also known as Kaya Richardson, was infected by Francis Hornbrook, IDEDIL, a 9561, but due to an abnormality it is believed she is now a caitiff, and as such is in a certain level of isolation from the other infected. A psychological profile has determined signs of trauma. Investigation has revealed a protector figure, servant named Birdie. She seems to be highly involved in the goings-on within the city, however does not seem to be in contact with her infector, leading to the belief that she is a genuine member of the Anarch movement. This now concludes the introductory training video for new members of the Glasgow City Coalition Enforcement Team. You will now be directed by your team leader to the armory where you will be instructed in the basic methods for